그럼 뭐해 No way 배그로 시작한 날 향한 마음이 왜 이제
What is good, y'all? This is JV here, and today I got an album review for you guys. Now, I do want to apologize for the lateness of this. It feels like this album's been out for a minute, but I didn't want to rush it out. And also, while I was, listening to this album, trying to familiarize myself with it, a number of other releases dropped, not just, in the K-pop scene, but outside of it as well. So I kind of got sidetracked, but finally I was able to crank it out, listen to it a number more times, and finally got my, feeling and grips for this. Before I get into the review in my normal kind of way, I do want to say that I'm going to switch up the format a little bit. Usually what I'll do is I'll go track by track and then at the end give you guys my full thoughts on the album as a whole. But this time I'm going to switch it up a little bit more, and what I'm going to do is before I get into the track by track breakdown, I'm going to give you guys my full thoughts at first, so you can get like a little TLDR kind of vibe of it. For you guys who don't want to hear me go super in depth and ramble on for like 10 minutes, I'll give you guys my quick thoughts and on the album as a whole, and then we'll get into the tracks. So before I get into the tracks, here are my thoughts on it. Y'all know I'm a huge Jay Park fan. Some would even say a stan. I love AOMG. I love his music. I bump it on the regular for sure. I've praised his previous releases. I really enjoy it. I still listen to Worldwide on a regular basis. And this album, how would I say, sum it up? I think it's fine. I think it's a fine album. I don't think it's necessarily the most ambitious material we've heard from him in the past. It's not necessarily something I see myself revisiting as a full album. There's definitely tons of singles on this that I would definitely listen to. But the vibe that I get from this particular album is that it's kind of like, if you are familiar with American music, something you'd get from like a DJ Khaled album. Like it had the compilation kind of feel to it, like a number of standalone singles kind of put together into one big album. And when I say big album, I'm saying this is a 19-track album. Now 2 of those are, you can count the Korean and English versions of Me Like Ya and All I Want to Do, but it rounds out to about 70 minutes. So this is a long album that has that compilation feel to it. I love this album. I really do, but I do have to say, I got to keep it honest with you guys. I always keep it 100, pros and cons. Pros, you're getting a whole bunch of dope, singles, things that you can revisit and bump on the regular. Some of his best singles to date, in my opinion. But also, I feel like the album as a whole is a little safe. Sound-wise, you're getting a lot of similar themes from track to track. Vocal performance-wise, it's pretty, middle of the road. We've seen him go at it, on some soulful stuff, like on his Evolution album. We've heard it. We've heard him go, hard into the rap stuff with Worldwide. This album fits somewhere in between there. It's not his most vocally ambitious material. It's pretty safe. It stays within that kind of pop R&B kind of realm that he's dabbled in for a long time and kind of made, his stamp on the industry in that regard. It kind of stays in there, and it doesn't really, peak or go below that central midpoint. Okay, so that's my thoughts as a whole. Like the album, but I think it's a little safe, and hopefully for future release, I feel like, he takes a little risk and gets a little bit out of his comfort zone. So let's just start with Replay. Like this as an intro, this kind of sets this tone and the stage for what the rest of this album is going to be. Sonically, it's in line with a lot of the other singles we've seen from him before, but it got like a nice warm atmospheric feel to it. Of course, Cha Cha Malone is all over this album, as one would expect. Jay Park definitely keeps it relatively in-house. You're getting Hootie, who I'm absolutely in love with and obsessed with. Y'all already know that. You got Loco on here, Elo's on here, Gray's on here. Everyone is on this album. So you got Replay that sets the stage, leads transitions perfectly into I Don't Disappoint. You get that nice braggadocious kind of Jay Park vibe, stunting on us. He's communicating with a girl, and again, this is a lot of love tracks on this particular one now. On Worldwide, you got Jay Park on his shit. He's talking his shit, on some braggadocious rap type stuff. Well, this one, he's talking to the ladies this time. He switched it up on us. He's talking to the ladies this time, and he's like, he's talking that lovey shit. And so we get a lot of that about on I Don't Disappoint, and then that brings us into one of the more interesting tracks, track 3, Feature with Cha Cha Malone. But the cool thing about this is Cha Cha not only made the instrumental, but we actually have a feature like an actual vocal performance by Cha-Cha. And as much of an AOMG fan as I am, I didn't even really know he sang like that. Maybe that's a fault of my own. I don't know how many times he's done it before. I don't know if this is his first time. I don't really know exactly. But I was super impressed by his vocal and performance. Now, I'm not saying he's, Adele per se or something like that. But dude got a really nice voice. There was dope chemistry between him and Jay. And it fit together very, very nice. I really, really like this song. And then it brings us into one of my favorite, All I Want to Do. But the cool thing is that this is a Korean version. Now, if you follow Jay on... or the AOMG account on SoundCloud, he dropped this single a while back, but in English. I've been listening to it multiple times a week since it dropped. I absolutely love this song. And so we get the Korean version with this one. And it's pretty much the same song, but there's something about like some of the Korean vocal inflections that switch it up a little bit during the chorus part, and I love the vocal performances of Loco and Hootie on there too. Brought an extra layer of like flair to it, so love that version of it. We get track 5, Limousine, with the feature there that I'm not exactly sure. It looks like Carnifex, but I know that that's a band. It's KRNFX. Don't know how to pronounce that. Love the instrumental on this track, man. It's giving me kind of like an 80s synth funk kind of vibe. I'm getting Michael Jackson-esque kind of vibes on Thriller, with that bass line. That's what I'm getting, is like future funk. That's the kind of vibe that I'm getting on the instrumental, and hearing Jay kind of liven up on this particular track, it's way different. All I Want to Do definitely picks the energy up, but then before that point, Replay and I Don't Disappoint are definitely a toned down kind of Jay Park on his R&B shit, and so this definitely ramps up the energy and the excitement on it, and I love the instrumental on this. So that's definitely, out of the newer tracks that we hadn't heard before this album dropped, this is probably my favorite. Next we got into Solo, another track that's been out for a while. I've spoken my praises on this song. Love this track, another one that I listen to on the regular. It's on my car playlist. Love the vibe to it, love the vocal performance on there. Of course, my girl Hootie's on it, so that's great. And then track 7, one of the more intriguing tracks of the album, Alone Tonight. We got Sick K there on the feature. We get that nice leaned up bass heavy feel to it. You got that nice little trap feel to it. Sick K has been making some major moves in the industry lately, so seeing him on this album, great look for him. Him and Jay have great chemistry together. This is not the first time they've worked together though before, because Jay Park has appeared on a Sick K single earlier this year, so it was cool to see the favor kind of returned and hear Sick K on his beat. I did actually post on my Instagram a little snippet of this song. I really do enjoy this song. It's lower energy, again leaned up, atmospheric, ethereal, nice deep bass tones there, great production on it, so I really enjoy that. Then we get into track 8, Only One. We have a nice feature by Raz Simone there, really enjoy it. Oh, I also want to speak on, love the fact that Jay is really coming out with that English. Now we all know that he's been bilingual, he's always had that as an aspect in his music, but he goes super hard on the English side on this particular album. I would almost say that there's probably more English on this album than Korean, which he did tell us that he wanted to release more English material. But this is not a full English album, but you're definitely getting a lot of that. Love the drum patterns on this particular track, and I love Raz Simone's contribution on the second half of the track. Very memorable chorus. I found myself singing "Only One, You're the Only One." It's a catchy single. And I know I got the melody off a little bit there, so don't kill me on that, but I like that joint. Transitions nicely into The Truth Is, again, another song that's been out for a while. I've spoken how much I love the beat switch up there on the second half of the song. I can't get over how bad I just sang Only One. I do apologize for that. That joint was way off. My bad. But yeah, The Truth Is, this is where, where he's flexing his vocal chops a little bit more. But it's definitely a nice moving, this is like the least programmed percussion that we get on the full album. It's about as close as we get to more acoustic style percussion. And I love the placement of this because it goes straight into Stay With Me, which is one of the more slower moments. And I was hoping for more tracks like this. Not because these are necessarily the kind of tracks that I like from Jay, but it just to break up a little bit of the continuity. I do like when he I love his, you know, high energy R&B tracks. I love his hip hop stuff. But sometimes when he kind of just strips it back and goes for some vocal performances, I really, really enjoy that too. This is definitely one of the more emotional moments on the album. So Stay With Me is really dope. And then it kind of goes, you know, back to what he was doing before with Drive featuring Gray. I spoke lightly on this in my reaction to the music video for this. So go check that out if you haven't thus far. Really, really enjoy this song. This is pretty much your conventional Jay Park track. I like Gray's contribution there, you know, spitting a little bit. We're getting this, you know, sing rap kind of vibe that on this one. So this is definitely one of those hip hop R&B crossover kind of tracks. And then we get into Aquaman. Cool single, not my favorite Jay Park single, but I can appreciate that this entire song is pretty much referencing him eating a girl out. I can appreciate him having a full-length song about that. Yeah, it's pretty, you know, overt references to, you know, sexuality on that, so I can appreciate that. And then finally it brings us to Me Like Ya, but the Korean version. Oh my god, I love this track. And I love the fact that, of course, we got my girl Hootie on there. The one thing I can praise Jay Park on is that when he signs an artist to his label, talk about giving them exposure, man. He is not putting no one in the dungeon. He is not YG. He's got this girl all over this album. Her vocal contribution is fantastic on it. This is the version that he dropped alongside Aquaman a couple weeks back. It hasn't been out that long, but it's got a nice reggaeton vibe to it that I spoke lightly on the reaction to that. Again, all the ones that have music videos out for this, even solo, maybe on my other channel, I have spoke on them before, so go check out all the reactions to all the music videos he's dropped because I've checked them out. And then we get track 14, Second Thoughts, which I was actually really surprised to see him put this on this album. It's been out for a while now. The cool thing about this song is, as many times as I've listened to it, I can appreciate how entertaining kind of like the dialogue is between it, and how kind of you can hear not necessarily like emotion in the sense of sadness, but emotional as in like I'm not fucking with you kind of vibe. And I just love how overt that is. I love how straightforward it is. The English, you know, on it is really, really dope. So yeah, man, shout out to him. Love the fact that he incorporated that into this album. And then we have Forever, and let me get the name of it. We got DJ Alamoran or Mora or something like that. Sorry about that. Yeah, DJ Alamora. Sorry if I got the pronunciation all fucked up on that. And then also Cha Cha Malone there on the feature. And yeah, man, really, really dope track overall. Love the instrumental on here. Probably my second favorite of the new tracks on there. Get a nice electronic feel for it. A way different sound than we see on all the rest of the tracks. Transitions nicely into Turn Off Your Phone, featuring ELO. ELO dropped his 8 Femmes album that I did an album review for. Check that out. I hate to keep plugging all my stuff, but I got a lot of stuff out here for, you know, AOMG stuff. Love this track though. Definitely like ELO's contribution on the latter half of the track more. Think they have great chemistry together, and ELO's just vocal performance is just amazing. One of the highlights of this album for sure. And then we got track 17, I Got This, which I feel like is the natural ending to this album, even though there's 2 more tracks afterwards, which I don't really have to get much into, I will mention. But yeah, we got I Got This, another direct dialogue to a spouse or female that he's dealing with. That, you know, it definitely brings down the, you know, the energy a little bit, and is a perfect outro to this album. So I really, really enjoy that track. Quick thoughts on that. And then we have Me Like Ya, English version. All I Want to Do, English version that we are already familiar with. So it was cool that he incorporated that, especially if you didn't have the digital version. If you buy the album physically or not, you got both versions of the songs now. So that's really, really dope. Overall, like the album, pretty safe. Definitely, this is one of these albums that I'm gonna pick the singles I like. Like I'm gonna be listening to a lot of Limousine and Solo, Drive, a little bit maybe, Me Like Ya for sure, Second Thoughts. It has its songs. But in terms of cohesivity as a full project, I wouldn't say it's like super cohesive. But yeah, man, shout out to Jay Park. Y'all know how big of a fan of him I am. But I tried to come at this review a little bit more objectively. I don't want to just, you know, be a dick writer the entire album review. But overall, like the album. Highly suggest you check it out if you're a Jay Park fan. If you enjoyed his previous material, you're definitely going to like this. Unless you came on board with Worldwide, then this is not really the album for you because there's not really much rap on this per se. Maybe, you know, from Loco and stuff like that, and some more, you know, moving sections from his vocals. But yeah, man, if you're a fan of his R&B material, you're gonna fucking love this album. Or his more soulful stuff, you get little snippets in that. If you gravitate more towards his rap material, I would say give this a listen, but this probably isn't for you per se. But yeah, dope album. Not my favorite Jay Park album, but a good album nonetheless, and still one of the better R&B releases of this year out of the Korean scene. For sure, no doubt about that. Curious as to what your thoughts are on the album. So in the comment section below, let me know what your thoughts are. What's your favorite track? How do you think about what do you think about Jay in general? How do you think this compares to his previous releases? What do you think about the features? What, you know, let me know what your thoughts are below. I would love a healthy dialogue on this. And until next time, this is JV here. I love you guys. Bye.